Yo, what's up everybody? Evan here for Grips.com, continuing with my review of the World Series of Poker 2015. And in this video I'm going to talk about teams. Teamwork, how great things happen when people come together as a team, and an example of a really strong team that I was fortunate enough to meet this summer and shared a really nice experience with. So, as hardworking individuals who really put in the extra effort and go 120%. We know that there is a lot that we can accomplish in this world as individuals, as we polish our skills, as we focus on our goals, and as we go out into the world and try to go after what it is that we seek. We can get a lot done. We can get a lot done and we can make a lot happen. There is, however, a whole lot more that we can accomplish when we work together as a team. Because now in our weak areas, we have other people who can support us and bring us up and help us evolve to that next level. So this summer, I got to see a little bit of that in action with our Team Grips kind of like prototype project. It was the first round, the first go at doing this, and I think we did it pretty well. And we experienced a lot of benefit. So what was the project for those that don't know? Well, I got together the best players that I knew and put them in a house together. There were 8 of us. Then I flew in some specialists in various fields, which from being in the game long enough, I realized that these are important things to being able to navigate the 45-day festival that is the World Series of Poker. I wanted people to have a sustained A game without having to worry about it. I wanted them to be able to just focus on playing poker and do what they do best and know that everything else would be taken care of on the highest level. And then the next step was getting some prime real estate at the Rio so that we were always within arm's reach of the players, where if they ever needed anything, they knew that we were right there waiting for them. And yeah, great things happened. A key thing for me that happened and that was helpful was team building. And for team building, especially in a world like poker where it's not really a team sport yet, it's the little things that make that happen. So like excursions, going out and doing things together, spending time together, having meals together, talking. Even things like, like these uniforms here, they go a long way. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know many pro sports teams that wear different uniforms and different jerseys on game day. So it's a way of unifying with each other and letting each other know that, we're all going after the same thing. We're all in this together and we're there to support each other. So a few moments that stood out for me this summer was, just like hanging out in the backyard with the housemates and some Twitch heroes like Jamie Staples. We actually had a really funny moment where Jamie walked into our back door, glass door, and just totally got zonked. And I couldn't stop laughing. Man, how did you not see that coming? And then later on that evening, Bagvant walked into the same door. And I'm just loving this. I'm thinking it's so funny. I can't believe how these idiots are not seeing this glass door. It's so clear. And look what just happened to this guy. How are you now running into it? Sure enough, I got my just desserts 2 days later. I banged, boom, right head first into that thing. And we actually had to take the patches and throw the G-chip patches on the doors from then on in so that we could know when the doors were closed as opposed to open, so that we wouldn't repeat that behavior ever again. Saved a lot of pain, that was for sure. And it may seem oh, whatever, that's silly, that's dumb, but those are the little things where you're going to look back and be like, oh, remember that time when this happened. And that's a common experience. And the more common experiences you have, the more, connected and united you are as people. So some other experience I really enjoyed were talking hands with Charlie on the way back from the Rio. Ironically enough, they were PLO8 hands primarily because we played both PLO8 events. He went deeper than me in both of them. And it was great because he barely ever played the game before, and I've read a bunch of books on it and played it at the series each year. So we were both coming at it from a beginner, but a very advanced beginner, intermediate kind of level. So that was fun to talk about those hands. Hiking in Red Rock Canyon with Bagvant, Tomasz, Ashley, and Ben was awesome. I have some really awesome pictures from that too, which you can check out on my Facebook album. And then the culmination of it all at the end of the trip was visiting Zion National Park with Bagvant, where we went up some really, really big peaks. And it was a really strong experience for bringing us together, just being out there in nature, away from the city, and just, being there to support each other. So, like I said, these may seem like, and finally, like just having the boys stop by the booth on their breaks to get a pick-me-up or to catch up, because, we were working the booth all day. I think I might have taken like 4 days off all summer, and they were playing poker like all day, every day. So to just have that time on the break to connect and see how things were going, it meant a lot, and I think it really did a lot for bringing us together. And these may seem like small things, but like I said before, they really go a long way into feeling, fulfilled, happy, and connected, because we humans are social creatures. So to be able to engage in social activities and feel like we are a part of something greater than ourselves, it really makes a big difference. So some other stuff that I learned from this experience of trying to introduce something that some people were receptive to but other people weren't ready for was, the awareness and seeing other people's perspectives. Ashley, for example, someone who is an amazing teacher, someone I've worked with very much over the past few years, she brought something to the poker world that it isn't quick to accept. Poker, yoga, they don't really ring a bell together. Chewy's got a book called The Yoga of Poker, but it's still very fresh. And in fact, the poker world, for the most part, that we found, like in the general poker playing population, they were very resistant to it, even though it was something that could offer them benefit, either because it was something they didn't understand, or it was because it was something that required effort on their parts. And a lot of people don't want to exert any effort. Just fair. It's fun to be lazy sometimes. But seeing her perseverance and the eventual benefit that came from those who were open to it was really powerful. I noticed that she said, I'm gonna get these boys doing yoga. I'm gonna find a way to get these boys doing yoga. And sure enough, by maybe day 3, day 4, I think she had been doing yoga, and I think by day 6, even Charlie got in on it too. And shortly after sprinkling in some healthy eating and yoga into his days, Ben was sitting at his first final table at the World Series of Poker after having bricked a good 10 events leading up to it. Now, I'm not saying that yoga and healthy eating made all the difference, because Ben had his own routines and his own things that were working for him coming into the World Series, but it definitely helped at least a little bit, because these things lead to more awareness and better performance. It's simple. The same goes for Bagvan and Tomasz. Their methods and approaches weren't for everyone, but those who were willing to give them a shot experienced great boosts in energy, great boosts in performance, and decreases in stress, anxiety, and pain. And I got to give a big thank you to Tomasz for persevering on his goal of working with some very specific people, because his follow-through on that led to us having a wonderful evening with some very amazing people, which I will talk about very shortly. Now, the general public, when it came to the nutritional stuff, these green drinks that we were drinking, these organic, vegan foods that we were trying, people were more confused and scared. They'd be like, "Oh, what do you have in there?" I'm like, "Oh," and I tell them what it is. They'd be like, "Oh, that looks good." I'd be like, "Yeah, do you want to try it?" They're like, "No, I'm cool, man. I got my Coca-Cola. I'm fine. I'll just drink my Coca-Cola. Looks cool. You look like you're all energetic and happy and doing good, but I'm cool. I'm fine." And it was strange to me that there was this level of resistance, but people often just don't want to try something that they don't understand. I get it, and where I don't get it, I'm learning to get it more. A lot of people were kind of scared, more so than they were open and excited. But again, I get it. If your general upbringing or your general culture is one of being closed, of being protected, of just kind of following a system that it's hard to then be open and curious about other things, because you're like, no, this is how it works for me, and this is what I'm going to do. But at the end of it all, I'm okay with the secrets to sustain success staying within the inner circle for now. That's totally fine. I'll keep it with the team, I'll keep it with the family, and anyone else who wants to come on board and experience it a little bit is more than welcome to. By the way, if you're watching this video and you're subscribed to Team Gripst, then you are a part of that inner circle. That's why you're getting this information. Now, being at the booth, it was a big commitment for me, and I foregoed a lot of playing poker for the ability to be at the booth. And in return for that, I was provided a lot of new opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had. I got to talk about how to stay balanced during the World Series of Poker in a video interview with Poker News, which was pretty cool. You know, that's been a long time goal. I think I set the goal like 2 years ago to get on Poker News, and now I was on Poker News for a real reason. I also got to talk about where the happiness is in real life is found with Lee Davey from Calvin Ayre. That was a really nice podcast piece. And I got to do a live podcast railing the One Drop Final Table, where Team Canada rep Jonathan Duhamel took it down for many million of dollars. And that was with a media personality that I wouldn't have been if I didn't have the booth. And, you know, in another year I would have just been walking through, checking out, you know, the Thunderdome and watching the final table, but I wouldn't have had the chance to speak about it and do a little like interview with someone during the final table. So that was a really cool benefit and bonus that came from setting up this booth and like putting in the hard work and just being there day in, day out so that the opportunities, you know, could come knocking. And when it comes to like results, yeah, that was really cool to see that One Drop Final Table. We had Jonathan Duhamel, who, you know, won the big one, not the big one, the main event 5 years ago, and he's still putting up results now. And you had the third place finisher was Dan Coleman, who, you know, just shipped the thing last year. So there clearly is some skills that can lead to consistency. And I actually wanted to read Jonathan's book before I got down to the Rio, but I didn't have enough time because I'm pretty sure he talked about kind of his system for success in that book. But, you know, félicitations pour Jonathan. It's a nice score. And, you know, it was good to just see the smile on his face that came from shipping that tournament and, you know, being fulfilled and hitting that big goal. So, but the biggest gift of working at the booth was what happened one magical evening when I got invited to Martin Jacobson's private birthday dinner with Reg Charity. It's Raising for Effective Giving. You may recognize, it's this one here. I always get confused with the camera, but it's this one right here. And you may recognize the name since 2 of the top 3 finishers in last year's main event were wearing this patch. I was lucky enough to get one since I pledged to donate 2% of my main event winnings this year, which amounted to $300, which I'm putting towards awareness and meta charity. So yeah, it was weird. I was working the booth, and I was like, you know what, Bag? I need a break. I'm going to go for a walk. And I went for a walk, and I was talking to a buddy from home in the hallway, and then a gripster came up, and I chatted with him for a bit, and then another one came up, and I'm like, this is really cool. It's nice to, you know, get this feedback. But I'm going to go outside for a bit and just get some fresh air. So I moseyed on down to the front entrance, got by the smoking area, and I was just chilling, and I saw the producer, the video producer, the video editor, my boy Mario from Poker News. And we got to talking just about production and things like that. And mid-conversation, who shows up but Igor Kurganov? For those of you who don't know Igor Kurganov, he's a high roller, super high roller, very accomplished player, and he's also one of the founders of Reg Charity. I met Igor last year, just prior to the main event. I introduced myself to him in the hallway, and about 30 minutes later, I saw him once again because we ended up on the same table for day 1 of the main event, which may not have been the most profitable place to be in, but it was definitely a very eye-opening place to be, and we had some really good conversations throughout the day. And, you know, this was the second time I'd really gotten to talk to him since then, and he came up with a box in hand, which had Martin Jacobson's cake, and he's like, hey, Evan, you know, I've been looking for you. I want to invite you to this dinner we're having tonight. And I said, well, can I come in my team gear? Because I'm not really dressed that well at formal dinners. You know, he's like, you know, we'll make it work. It'll be okay. You know, I had my matching pants on too. You know, you don't really go to a formal occasion in sweatpants, but hey, that's how I roll. So yeah, I was invited to that, and I was really excited. I went back to the booth to kind of tell them what was happening, and they actually were fully aware of it because Liv Barry was doing a book signing that day at the booth for the new Excelling, and she was one of the people who was hosting the dinner. Fortunately, Tomasz, who really wanted to be there, he got dressed up all fancy, and you know, he kind of made up for my lack of presentation per se. So he was able to join me for the dinner. Now, speaking of things that are being resisted or hard to be accepted sometimes, you know, in a world that where maximizing EV and the dollar bottom line are king, charity can be a tough sell. You know, you're encouraging people to to give away things that they have worked hard for in an environment where it's like, I want to maximize me and myself in my game. But education changes that. And I'm happy to say that as I came into my own and became able to support myself and take care of myself and fulfill myself, that giving back to others to support themselves and enabling them to do the same is something that interests me greatly. I just didn't know how to go about it. And don't get me wrong, when you're first coming up and developing yourself, charity might be one of the last things on your mind. And, you want to make sure that you can take care of yourself first and put food on your table before you're out there giving it to everyone else. But it's very fulfilling and very rewarding to then share, the fruits of your labor with as many people as possible, especially those who are in need of it more so than, some of your other well-off friends per se. And now I had a way in. And from seeing who else stood behind this mission made me feel very good. Okay, now forgive me for sounding like a fanboy here, but I thought it was pretty cool to share a meal with the following people, and I think you may find it pretty cool too. So at the dinner, forgive me if I miss anyone too, we had Igor Kurganov, Liv Bury, Max Altergott, Fabian Quas, Tobias Rankenmeyer, Sorel Mizzi, Justin Bonomo, Galen Hall, Dan Shack, and Lee Davey, as well as some of their significant others. And we also had the people from Raising for Effective Giving, who I was fortunate enough to meet, Adriana Manino, Stefan Huber, Rene Garcia, and Tobias Pulver. We also, at the last minute, had an addition from Senor Papi, Mr. Joey Ingram from the Poker Life podcast. So we had a really good group of people, some very successful people, but some very smart, intellectual people who, they play the game of life very well. So if all these really elite players in the game of life are getting together for this, this must be something that is at least worthwhile, right? Now, I gotta say that as soon as I was in there, I forgot one guy to mention, Mr. Jorrit van Hoof, who I got to talk a lot to about meditation that dinner and Burning Man, actually. Bonomo filled us in on that. That was pretty cool. But I got to say that the vibe of this dinner was different from what I'd experienced all summer, because a lot of the other dinners I'd had, were just kind of all over the place and we're doing this and that. And this one was one that had a purpose, but it was also an environment of, some very aware, conscious people. Driven people. There was no sign of fear, worry, anxiety, stress, erratic, impulsive behavior, but instead those things were replaced by, a calm environment full of confidence, compassion, support, and positivity. Needless to say, I felt at home. I remember turning to Tomaj within 3 minutes of us just sitting down and catching up with people and getting to know each other and just being like, man, I am so happy that I'm here. I feel like this is exactly where I should be. Uplifting people who can help uplift other people. It just felt like a really positive, impactful place to be in. And I felt transformed just from spending, the 3 hours at that dinner that night. So a little bit about Raising for Effective Giving, what they're all about. They did a presentation that night, which will be available on YouTube later, and when it's up, I will link that in the video description. But the 3 areas they're focused on are poverty alleviation through various means, such as deworming, education, providing water, infrastructure building, animal welfare, because the animals are important, and our health is also largely based on the health of the animals, for those of us who do eat meat. And climate change was another one that they were concerned with. And finally, meta-charities, which basically falls into the realm of educating people on the benefits of charity so that we can then have more charity and more goodness being spread throughout the world and more support. Now, I was also exposed to the huge developments in artificial intelligence, which I wasn't so aware of from being in my little box, and why investing in protection against machines may become a real thing in the not-too-distant future. But what I was really impressed with was this group's approach to charity, and their main focus is ensuring that they get the most out of every dollar that they invest. So, the most lives saved for every dollar invested, the most people impacted positively from every dollar invested, the most people educated from every dollar invested. So, they take a very EV-based approach to charity to ensure that dollars invested lead to results in helping people become better off. And that was something that, made a lot of sense to me. Now, it was a great dinner, and I learned a lot, and I just felt so good being in that environment, and I hope that, I can be there for another one. And unfortunately, despite the fact it was his birthday, or maybe because it was his birthday, Martin wasn't able to make it. But I did get to eat a slice of his birthday cake, which was pretty damn cool if you ask me. I gotta share the birthday cake of the main event champ from the year before. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm doing all these things with main event champions and elite players. I feel like I'm in the right place for what I've been trying to achieve in my life for quite some time now. And the great thing is, you can't plan out those kinds of experiences. That was just a result, a reward that came from me putting my heart and soul into something, and just being there all summer there, working there every day and letting people see what, Gripst and what Evan Jarvis is really all about. And, it was something that I was doing for a good cause, which allowed me to align with other people who are trying to do something bigger than themselves for a good cause. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the REG organization, I've put a link in the description. It's reg-charity.org. And like I said, they recorded their presentation over dinner, so once it's ready, I'll put up a link so that you guys can check that out if it's something that you're interested in. I think that REG will have a big impact over the next few years. They've already had a really good start. And I hope that Team Gripst, I'm going to get it wrong, see, I always get it backwards, but Team Gripst can play a part in moving that impact forward, because we have a lot of great minds, and a lot of motivated and caring individuals behind this project as well. What I experienced that night was the feeling of support that comes when people are united, united in a common goal and working towards something greater than themselves to have an impact and to make change on this planet, positive change. I also experienced that a lot throughout the summer, and that's why I look forward to doing it all over again in 2016. Now, if you're interested in being more involved with Team Gripst and feeling more part of the team, let me know if a uniform like this, is something you'd be interested in. Because we only had, I think we had 12 made for the team, and we didn't make any extras because we got them all hand-stitched and well taken care of. You can also just rep the team by repping your Gripst tee wherever you want to go. And let me know if these might be something you'd be interested in, some of them Team Gripst patches, or if these might be something you'd be interested in giving out to your friends or family or fellow poker enthusiasts, because we do have some of these, and if there's enough interest, we can get more of these produced and get them out to you. So please let me know if you guys want more stuff to unite the team, or if you have any ideas for, team building activities that we might be able to do, because, that was the first one that we did in Las Vegas, and it was very successful, but hey, why not do it internationally? Why not do it around the globe? So, guys, please share with me. Let me know your thoughts, comments, ideas, and, let's keep the positive vibes going and see what we can make happen. This has been Evan Jarvis for Gripst.com, saying peace out, and until next time, happy stacking.